Memes have been a very huge part of the internet for quite some time now, with some of them even referencing various beloved and well-known video games such as Halo.
Did you put a fucking mod in this?
No.
Fallout,
And we're back. This is Mr. New Vegas, and I feel something magic in the air tonight.
and but there is a game that has stood out to me among the sea of niche references and questionable decision making. A game that came from humble beginnings. A game that has risen from obscurity like a dragon. A game that is beloved by those who've played it and hated by those who haven't. A game where every punch tells a story. Ryuga Gotoku, or Yakuza in the West, is a game that is infamous for the amount of memes that it has generated over recent years. Although surprisingly, the entire series was only ever really popular in Japan and has remained obscure following its first 10 releases, that is until the release of the game that has taken the world by storm, Yakuza 0. Now here's the thing. I have never played any of the Yakuza games to date and have been following their releases through a Steam wishlist that I haven't really given a thought to for over 2 years now. My only exposure to these games are because of the countless memes that I have been bombarded with, whether it's through YouTube or through memes sent by a friend. On one peculiar night though, as a friend and I were in a Discord channel chatting it up as per usual, they suddenly gifted me a Yakuza 0 copy which was on sale and was coincidentally on my wishlist. Although through much reluctance and a couple of back and forth banter, I begrudgingly decided to accept the gift. I didn't play it right away though. It just sat there in my Steam library as one of the only backlogs that I currently had. Fast forward a few months, and right after making this video right here where you can check on the top right of the screen right now, I decided, you know what? Let's play this funny Yakuza game. I mean, how good could it really be? It was the greatest 100 hours of my life. That game is just so goddamn peak! I want to gush over this so much as I have been wanting to make this video for a while now, and my friend, you are gonna sit there as I yap about this for the entire duration of this video. Now, I won't be covering everything the game has to offer since, well, dude, I'm not gonna try and give myself a lobotomy by maxing out my levels for each character as well as getting the gold weapons and fighting Joe Amon. You're asking for a lot, alright? Nonetheless, for those who are interested in playing this game and haven't even played it yet, spoiler warning right here. This is your last chance to back out, and here's a timestamp if you want to see my rating on this game as well as whether it's worth checking out or not. Now, let's begin with the story. And it all starts with an empty lot.
この町で喧嘩売んならちゃんと相手を選べ。大金持ち歩いてるときは特にな。
That was an intro. That was a fucking intro. Now, as much as I loved that first few minutes of the game, the story is pretty good. It's not mind-blowingly good, but it served its purpose and it did it very well. Now you might be thinking, why aren't you glazing the game? The story, you said it was peak, right? It is genuinely absolute cinema. But the story itself followed a very generic path of good and evil, with our two protagonists painted a clear and solid color of white, while the characters they meet along the way are generally a mix of gray-white or really dark gray. I know, the story is really grounded and the major happenings between chapters really solidify each character's motivations, but it felt like I was watching another shonen anime, really. The only scenes that majorly impacted me was when Nishiki was trying to kill Kiryu to free him from his supposed suffering. Kiryu going toe-to-toe with Shibusawa for the Dragon of Dojima title and the majority of Majima's storyline. The problem with this was that Kiryu felt too clean, like squeaky clean. Unlike in later installments where we actually get to see Kiryu's flaws as a person despite his hard-boiled personality and grumpy appearance, it genuinely felt like I was watching a generic anime protagonist, talking about justice, doing what's right, and saving people. His words here have no weight to them, but I can understand that because this is my first exposure to this character. He has nothing to back himself up other than his fists, but you know what? It's because of this introduction and this story that the other games in the series made Kiryu's character have a huge impact on me. Because everything he declares and does this time around has more weight to them and has more meaning behind them. Although you can just attribute his behavior in Zero as just a young adult who doesn't know how the world works, it doesn't really justify that because these are not decisions that young adults make. Like, why in God's name would I just stare blankly at my former boss who just killed a person right in front of me and walk off like nothing is happening? My ass would be fucking terrified as shit right now. Granted, he was preparing himself for the worst afterwards, but damn, I would not win a round of exploding kittens with this guy. Just because his poker face game is unbeatable. And unlike his more older version in Kiwami, who has gone through a lot of shit throughout his life, this version of Kiryu felt too shonen-ni. Majima also felt too squeaky clean at the beginning, since we've been shown time and time again that Shimano was the cause of everything that he had to go through. Majima only really resonated with me once we reached the ending, the reason why he is called the mad dog of Shimano, and explains a lot as to why he acts the way he is in later installments. Although his crash out near the end was one of the best moments for me in this game. I just wished that they had explored more into his desperation rather than just keeping focus on his dynamic with Makoto. Yes, I know, his relationship with Makoto is the sole reason why we see humanity in Majima in later games. I'm not saying that we should replace his time with Makoto, but rather just focus more on why Majima is Majima here, and the lens that he will go through for a chance to break out of his cage, conflicting with the feelings he has slowly developed over time for Makoto. Like, make him develop more conflict within himself rather than just, oh, she's disabled and is being hunted by the people I'm actually trying to curry favor with. Well, let's just throw that out the window and focus on protecting this poor helpless girl. Like, brother, you beat the shit out of drunkards in the middle of the street with a baseball bat, sending them to the hospital and then leaving them in a vegetative state. And now you're telling me that you suddenly have a change of heart because of this woman? She's a complete stranger who just happens to be your assassination target. You're a Yakuza! Well, former Yakuza, but you're a Yakuza! What the f- This shit should not faze you that much! Working towards Makoto's and Majima's relationship should have been at a steady pace, not a straight 180. Like, dude, why? Speaking of Makoto, Jesus Christ, she is infuriating. But that is actually a compliment instead of me bitching about her, because Makoto's character is tragic from beginning to end, and the irrational and irritable decisions she makes make sense because of her backstory. A person in her shoes would make rash and unpredictable moves that genuinely baffles the audience, and I'd say she is really great. Now, here's the thing. I love the story. I would genuinely rate it an 8.5 out of 10 because it is that good. Those were just my personal gripes along with a few others that I won't mention because they're a part of the director's cut shenanigans. But despite my yapping and my ranting about these particular parts of the story, it doesn't really matter. Why? Well, in Yakuza, nothing has to make sense. All of these complaints are just me expecting a proper crime drama when in reality I'm playing against children in a circuit fighting contest, beating said children and then handling love affairs between them. And that's like the least craziest shit that you'll experience in this game. I mean, for one, I'm running a real estate empire and I'm currently employing a chicken named Nugget as a manager after winning him in a bowling contest. Like, what in God's name did I just play? It was genuinely a refreshing take from the typical crime dramas that I would see on TV, paired with the absolute insanity of the plot as well as the intense twists and turns that I've genuinely come to love. The story was unpredictable and unapologetic that it was just bonkers going through it the first time around. But this form of unpredictability is not only present in the main storyline but is also in the side stories as well. Each of these side stories have their own flavor to them that you just can't ignore. One moment you're helping a kid by trying to get a game from a thief who stole it from a thief who stole it from another thief, and that thief is coincidentally the kid's father. It's sweet and heartwarming once you finish it, and then the next thing you know you're teaching a girl how to be a proper dominatrix. I'm serious. Like, what the hell is this? I didn't sign up for this. Disgusting. Do it again. Honestly, everything from beginning to end has just been absolute insanity, and I loved every single moment of it. It's also pretty nice that there are a couple of side quests that are set up for very major plot points in later installments, and it really adds more depth to those stories as well. But this insanity isn't only limited to the story alone. The gameplay is crazier than that. There's a lot to unpack here, genuinely. The game is filled to the brim of content, but I won't be talking about the super endgame stuff like levels and fighting Joe Amon, since I'm not that sweaty, man. I have a life, okay? I touch grass, I take walks outside, converse with people and shit, not grind Mr. Shakedown for the billionth time in a row. Anyways, Yakuza 0's gameplay is chaotic as hell, for all the right and wrong reasons. Let me explain. The combat system for one is clunky, super clunky, which is something that I expected from a 2015 game. It is ridiculous how annoyingly rigid and cumbersome the gameplay is. For starters, let me complain about the camera. The camera is dumb. When you're walking around and you try to do a 360-degree rotation, there is suddenly an invisible wall. Like, what the fuck? It is super annoying, and I'm very sure that there is a better way to deal with this rather than make the camera have a hitbox for some goddamn reason. Hello. I know that they're trying to prevent the player from clipping through the background textures and revealing a couple of empty areas or just lose focus on the character, but Come on, man. Lots of video game characters have already mastered the camera movement properly during this time frame, so why does this game not have that? The combat is a lot more tolerable. It isn't the best combat system out there, but it's enough to help you get accustomed to the vibe of the game. Although the lock-on is hard to notice and get used to, once you get the hang of it, everything becomes crystal clear. Having trouble with some enemy attacks? Dodge. Unable to dodge an attack in the middle of your combo? Guard. Some moves even have counters and stances that you can utilize to your advantage, and after you get the hang of how the combat system works, beating enemies to a pulp and sending them straight to the hospital will be as smooth as kicking a baby off a porch. But of course, the combat gets a little more complicated than that. Both Kiryu and Majima have at least 3 different combat styles, each with 2 legendary ones locked behind, The combos and heat actions that you can do with all of these styles are a lot. And not to mention unique heat actions for several weapons as well. I mean, Brawler and Thug is your basic fighting style that allows you to hustle and tussle between opponents. Rush being the absolute best at dodging, weaving, and generating heat. Slugger being an expert at many weaponry, but mostly you just use a metal bat to home run a random guy into the afterlife. Beast being an absolute unit, and if you see a goddamn bike, the only thing these dumbasses are gonna be cycling is the cycle of life and death. And then finally, Breaker. Not only are you gonna bring them to the brink of death, but you're gonna be murdering that dance floor. Not that Majima and Kiryu have killed anyone, that is. At least Majima hasn't. Right? But look, the combat isn't all that you're gonna be doing, at least 20% of the time. There are a lot of things that you can do in this game. You can go fishing down the bay, get drunk as you buy every alcohol in that place, or maybe you want to play a couple of rounds of pool, not to mention the infamous karaoke, and that's just me naming a few. This game is littered with several minigames that you genuinely won't get bored checking them out. There's also an R18 one if you want to get spice head. Not to mention the option to go to a video store and you know what I'm talking about. I'm winking right now. You can't see it, so I'm just gonna add some sound effects in between here. Also, fun fact, the girls you see in the video store as well as the Cabaret Club Platinum girls are actually real-life JAV actresses. I'm spelling it out in case I get in trouble. But out of all the minigames that you can encounter in this game, my favorite one just has to be the pocket circuit racing. There's just that childlike wonder that you get when you're building and modifying your pocket circuit car and watching it just go zoom all over the track. It also makes it satisfying that you're beating kids out of their lunch money for this. It sweetens the victory. It's really just plain fun, and it makes me remember those times when I was a kid. Playing with Hot Wheels and building my own tracks, it's just so nostalgic and memorable. Not to mention the side story associated with that minigame is just really relatable on a lot of fronts. Not the kid wanting to be your girlfriend. Jesus Christ, little lady, these kids grow up so fast. My second favorite minigame would also have to be Disco. That minigame is frustratingly difficult, especially considering that the side story associated with that minigame is equivalent to a hydrogen bomb versus a coughing baby, but the baby has infinite retries until they end up breaking the keyboard out of frustration. Yes, I use a keyboard because I am not a real Yakuza, okay? I'm a baby. Everything that you do in this game just has flavor. Every fight, every minigame, every action-packed story, and it is astonishing. It's just like nabemono, a Japanese hot pot dish that has a mix of various ingredients that, although are incredibly different from one another, all complement each other. That once you start cooking and simmering that pot, it all melds into this delectable dish that would have you wanting for more. There is not a single boring moment in this game. Sure, I may have complained about a couple of things here and there, but they're all part of that charm that I have known to love. This game is beautiful and ugly at the same time. But we're not done yet. You see, every activity that you do, every fight that you get into, all have one thing in common: money. If it weren't already obvious, Yakuza 0 is set in the 80s during Japan's economic bubble era, a time where money is as plentiful as grass in the field, where loans were free and rampant, where the yen was stronger than the dollar, and interest rates were at an all-time low. Of course, buying stuff in shops as well as commissioning for weapons cost money. Fighting opponents gives you cash, including and most importantly, the infamous Mr. Shakedown. Money is also needed for some of the various activities that you can do in this game. I mean, for one, building a pocket circuit car is ridiculously expensive, as well as the best healing item in the game, Stamina Royale, costing 12k per piece. Money is also tied into your ability upgrades. As Bacchus famously said, invest in yourself. What the fuck? Upgrades are expensive, with the minimum costing 100k yen and the more expensive ones costing up to a billion. Money is important, but where can you even get this amount of money? Well, you can sell some very expensive jewelry and items to the pawn shop, but that barely covers 1/4 of your upgrade tree. Fighting Mr. Shakedown is also an option, but he is ridiculously strong, as one smack from him brings you down to 1/8 of your HP. Not to mention losing all your money when he beats the living shit out of you. So where do we get this ridiculous amount of money? These billions and billions of yen, just where can we find all of these moolah? Boy oh boy, I'm about to crash out. Real Estate Royale and Cabaret Club Caesar. Caesar? Zahar? Czar. Both of these minigames are your main source of income. It's funny that they're called minigames because they are anything but. For starters, these moneymakers are generally considered to be side content, so you don't really need to complete them in order to finish the main story. Now, Real Estate Royale is a sideline hustle for Kiryu, as his goal here is to retake the entire real estate monopoly from the hands of the 5 billionaires. The Leisure King, the Electronics King, the Pleasure King, the Gambling King, and the Media King. All in order are the ordeals that Kiryu has to go through. Most of the time, you'll be saving money in order to buy property and invest in said property in order to gain more profit, as well as allow you to challenge the respective billionaire in that area. For Majima, running a cabaret club called Club Sunshine is your main source of revenue, making sure to run the cabaret club with the women you collect, with the platinum girls being special, as they are the only women that have a dress-up feature in order to maximize the stats against very picky customers. Completing a workday will net you revenue and fans, and once you've reached a certain amount of fans, it will grant you the ability to challenge the other clubs in the areas where you've gained fans. Club Mars, Club Jupiter, Club Mercury, Club Venus, and Club Moon. All in order. These are the various clubs that you need to challenge, as their main goal is to bring down the Grand Club that Majima is currently managing. All of this sounds easy, right? No! Ah! The grind never stops. It's all hell from here on out. Managing the real estate is a pain in the ass, man. Like, why? I have to wait a couple of minutes for the meter to fill, even though it's not even enough to invest properly into the properties. Who in their right damn mind decided that the progress to S would be this damn slow? Oh, sure, I can just do stuff in between the claims, but why in God's name is it so tedious to go through? Beating up Mr. Shakedown is much more faster than this. And for what? To buy more properties and gain more revenue? Didn't think I was playing Money Tycoon City. Not to mention having to cycle the managers in security for each of the respective areas because they easily get fatigued and lose their bonuses, needing me to keep cycling between all of them just so I could get their full bonuses. Don't even get me started on the people you need to hire for this, as the majority of them can only be gotten through specific side quests. Why the fuck am I hiring a chicken after winning in bowling? What do you mean I have to go through high school drama to be able to hire hire a barely legal high school girl. And it goes on and on and on. And don't even get me started with the Cabaret Club Caesar game mode. Czar game mode. Who in their right mind decided that it would be funny to have this be an active game? Sure, the first few times it was fun as hell, but afterwards it started to become tedious and monotonous to go through. What do you mean I have to memorize the hand signs that the girls are using? Refill ice? Ashtray? How about I just stick a fucking cigarette up your ass? What do you mean I have to gain CP in order to hire more girls? Wait, I have to do more specific side content to hire more of them! Dear God, how the hell did I win against a Soviet disco dancing? My hands, they're shaking. Huh? A random mysterious woman is now gonna be working for me? Are you sure this is safe? Are you sure? And now, you have to go on practice dates with the girls and you need to choose the correct options just so you could have a massive stat increase. Besides that, you also have to go through multiple dates of doing darts, pool, or disco, which I am bad at. I am genuine ass. I could do pool better in real life than whatever the fuck this is. It feels like the balls were made out of rubber. It's so mind-numbing. The hours going through all of this is insane. I have 100 hours in Yakuza 0, and I am fairly confident that at least half of that was going through real estate and cabaret clubbing. Women and money are driving me up the fucking wall. And for what? What the hell is the purpose of doing this? Going through all of this pain and suffering? What is the reason why I'm here? What the hell is the end? Oh. I see. I understand it now. Yakuza 0 is a game that can be interpreted in a lot of ways. Whether you're having a blast doing the various activities in the night districts of Kamurocho and Sotenburi, or grasping for your tissues after experiencing a tear-jerking story. Everyone has their own perspective on what makes Yakuza 0 special to them. Completing this game the first time around was an experience that I could never trade for anything else. It taught me a lot of things, but more importantly, it taught me about life. About what makes life special. Being out here, doing the things that you want to do, what you can do, and what you need to do. Having fun with friends or just making some strange friendships along the road, it can get unpredictable and sometimes unreasonable. But the same thing can be said about life itself. Things just never go your way, and that's okay. You can never control the things happening around you, but you can control yourself and the way you respond to it. Seeing the story unfold, seeing our two main characters struggle and stumble along the way as everything and everyone tries to bring them down is something that we see in our own lives. We see them at their lowest, at their most desperate, but despite it all, they stand up and walk towards an uncertain future. It is inspiring. 9.5 out of 10. It's a game worth playing. Having nothing but their wits and their grit keeping them together with fists in hand and 20 stacks of stamina royale. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will stand in their way. As this is a story where two legends are made.